Hello world, how you doing? It is a beautiful day, isn't it? So, I've come to talk to you about a commandment. Specifically, thou shalt not kill.
Some of you listening to this have become numb to violence, numb to suffering, numb to human life. Some people have allowed anger, hatred, pride, revenge, or darkness to consume them for so long that they no longer feel conviction when they harm others. And one of the most terrifying things that can happen to a human being is not physical death. It is a deadened conscience. Because when a person stops feeling remorse, they begin justifying evil. They begin convincing themselves, they deserved it. I had my reasons. The world made me this way. I do not care anymore. But listen carefully. Human beings have become very skilled at justifying sin. People justify hatred, justify greed, justify betrayal, justify cruelty, and many people even justify killing. But God made his commandment clear. Open quote, thou shalt not kill, close quote. That is not a suggestion. It is a commandment. And yet humanity continues ignoring it every single day. Wars, murders, violence, revenge, hatred. The world keeps proving what happens when human beings live by anger, pride, fear, and selfishness instead of the commandments of God. And if we are honest, many people no longer fear God. They fear consequences. They fear prison. They fear losing status. But they do not fear the condition of their own soul. Because when people lose reverence for God, human life begins losing value. And that is exactly what we see happening across the world. People killing over pride, over money, over revenge, over emotions that last only moments.
Yep.
And one of the saddest parts is that many people convince themselves they are justified while destroying themselves spiritually. But the teachings of Jesus Christ showed humanity a completely different way to live. Jesus taught forgiveness instead of revenge, peace instead of hatred, mercy instead of cruelty, self-control instead of violence, love instead of destruction. And I personally believe humanity ignores these teachings at its own destruction, because Jesus did not only speak truth, he showed us how to live, how to control anger, how to forgive, how to resist hatred, how to live without allowing sin to rule the heart. The problem is not that humanity lacks instruction. The problem is that humanity often rejects the instruction. People want peace without obedience, salvation without repentance, blessings without transformation. But Jesus taught people to change from within. Because long before violence happens outwardly, darkness has already been growing inwardly. Hatred grows first. Bitterness grows first. Pride grows first. Then destruction follows. And some of you listening right now may have convinced yourselves that your anger makes you strong. But anger without wisdom destroys people. Violence without conscience destroys souls. And no matter how much someone tries justifying evil, God still sees truth clearly. Every life matters to God. Every person you pass, every stranger, every enemy, every victim. Human life is sacred. That is why the commandment matters. And maybe humanity would look very different today if people truly obeyed not only that commandment, but all of them. Imagine a world where people truly followed the teachings of Jesus Christ. Less hatred, less greed, less violence, less pride, less revenge, more forgiveness, more peace, more humility, more love. But instead, many people choose sin while wondering why the world feels broken. And listen carefully. No matter how hardened a person becomes, repentance is still possible while there is breath in their lungs. God can still confront a hardened heart. God can still awaken conscience. God can still humble pride. But a person must become honest first. Honest about the darkness they have allowed into their soul. Because the first step towards salvation is truth. And the fear of God is not weakness. It is wisdom. The understanding that one day every human being will stand before God and answer not only for their actions, but for the condition of their heart.
Ain't that the truth, brothers and sisters? So, I hope you learned something, and may you walk with Jesus like he walks with me.